The Komodo dragon moves through its world with a silence that feels intentional, as if the land itself has learned to make room for it. On the dry islands of Indonesia, where heat presses down on stone and dust carries the memory of ancient oceans, this animal exists not as a curiosity, but as an authority. It is the last of a lineage shaped in a time when size was survival, patience was power, and the boundary between hunter and environment barely existed. To encounter a Komodo dragon is not to see a reptile behaving like a mammal, but to witness an evolutionary strategy that never needed to change because it already worked too well. Long before humans charted maps or named islands, the ancestors of the Komodo dragon were already experimenting with dominance. Fossil evidence suggests that large monitor lizards once ranged across much of Australia and Southeast Asia, filling ecological roles now occupied by big cats and large canids. As climates shifted and megafauna disappeared, most of these giants vanished. The Komodo dragon did not. It retreated into isolation, onto islands where competition was limited and prey arrived without defenses evolved for such a predator. In this isolation, evolution did not rush. It refined. The body of a Komodo dragon is not designed for speed, but for inevitability. Thick limbs anchor it to the ground like living pillars, supporting a torso packed with dense muscle and a digestive system built for excess. Its tail, nearly as long as its body, serves as counterbalance, weapon, and signal, sweeping through grass with slow authority. The skin, armored with bead-like scales reinforced by tiny bones, is a reminder that vulnerability is not part of its design. Every aspect of its anatomy communicates one message: this animal does not need to flee. Its head tells a deeper story. The skull is heavy, the jaw muscles immense, but the bite itself is not the crushing force once imagined. Instead, the Komodo dragon relies on something more subtle and far more devastating. Its mouth is lined with serrated teeth, curved backward like hooks, each one designed to tear rather than crush. When it bites, it does not hold. It opens flesh, creates damage, and allows chemistry to finish the work. Venom glands embedded in the lower jaw release a complex cocktail that prevents blood clotting, drops blood pressure, and induces shock. The prey often escapes the initial encounter, but the hunt has already ended. This strategy defines the Komodo dragon's relationship with time. It does not chase, it waits. Its metabolism is slow, efficient, and unforgiving. After a bite, it follows the scent of blood for hours, sometimes days, tracking an animal growing weaker with every step. When the prey finally collapses, the Komodo dragon arrives not as a predator completing a chase, but as a force concluding an equation already solved. In ecosystems where energy is precious, this patience is not a flaw. It is dominance. Feeding is an event that reshapes the landscape around it. Komodo dragons consume astonishing amounts of food, swallowing chunks of meat, bone, and organs whole. Their flexible skulls and expandable stomachs allow them to ingest prey weighing more than half their own body mass. During these moments, hierarchy becomes visible. Larger individuals feed first, asserting dominance through size and presence rather than constant aggression. Smaller dragons circle, waiting for opportunity, learning their place in an order enforced not by rules, but by consequence. Despite their solitary reputation, Komodo dragons are not mindless brutes. They recognize individuals, remember feeding sites, and learn patterns within their environment. Young dragons, vulnerable to cannibalism, spend their early years in trees, hunting insects and small vertebrates while watching the ground below. Survival requires awareness, adaptation, and an understanding of danger, even from one's own kind. Cannibalism is not a behavioral anomaly here, it is a population control mechanism, a reminder that in this world, weakness is temporary only if intelligence intervenes. The habitat that shapes the Komodo dragon is harsh, open, and exposed. Dry forests, savannas, and volcanic hills dominate the islands it rules. Water is scarce, shade is valuable, and the sun dictates movement. During the hottest hours, dragons retreat to burrows, conserving energy. At dawn and dusk, they emerge, not in haste, but with deliberate calm. Everything about their behavior reflects a species that has learned to align itself with the rhythm of its environment rather than resist it. Humans, arriving late to this system, often misunderstand what they see. To the untrained eye, the Komodo dragon appears slow, even lazy. This illusion is part of its power. When threatened or provoked, it can explode into motion with terrifying speed, closing distance in seconds. Its awareness extends farther than expected, guided by a forked tongue that samples the air for chemical information. Smell, not sight, defines its perception of the world. Blood, decay, and fear are languages it reads fluently. The role of the Komodo dragon within its ecosystem is absolute. As the apex predator, it regulates prey populations, removing the weak and the sick, shaping the behavior of deer, boar, and smaller animals that share its territory. Without it, the balance would shift quickly, vegetation overgrazed, disease spread unchecked. This reptile, ancient and often feared, is not a relic. It is an engineer of stability. Yet even a creature that has outlived epochs is not immune to modern threats. Habitat loss, climate change, and human encroachment tighten the boundaries of its existence. Islands are finite. Isolation, once a shield, becomes a vulnerability. Conservation efforts attempt to preserve not just an animal, but a process millions of years in the making. Protecting the Komodo dragon means protecting patience, restraint, and a form of dominance that does not rely on excess, but on understanding time itself. For now, the Komodo dragon remains where it has always been, watching, waiting, conserving energy beneath the sun. It does not rush toward the future. It has survived long enough to know that the world eventually comes to it. The presence of another Komodo dragon is never neutral. Even without visible interaction, individuals constantly negotiate space, dominance, and opportunity through posture, movement, and timing. Social structure among Komodo dragons is not built on cooperation, but on an unspoken hierarchy shaped by size, age, and experience. When multiple dragons converge on a carcass, the order of feeding is decided almost instantly. Larger males claim the center, anchoring themselves over the prey, while smaller individuals circle the periphery, alert, calculating, waiting for scraps or distraction. There is no chaos in this gathering. What appears brutal is in fact highly structured, governed by an ancient logic where conflict is minimized because its outcome is already known. Dominance displays are subtle yet unmistakable. A raised body, a stiffened tail, a slow but direct approach can be enough to force retreat. Actual combat is rare, not because these animals lack aggression, but because injury is costly. In a world where healing is slow and infection can be fatal, unnecessary fighting is inefficient. Evolution has shaped the Komodo dragon into a strategist, not a brawler. Power is demonstrated through certainty rather than constant violence. Reproduction introduces a different intensity into this system. During the breeding season, male Komodo dragons become more active, traveling longer distances and engaging in ritualized combat known as wrestling. Two massive bodies rear up on their hind legs, grappling chest to chest, each trying to force the other to the ground. These contests are tests of strength and stamina, but also of balance and experience. The victor earns mating rights not through destruction, but through endurance. Even here, efficiency governs behavior. The fight ends as soon as dominance is established. Females, once mated, exhibit a remarkable shift in behavior. Nesting becomes an act of defense and deception. Eggs are laid in burrows or abandoned megapode nests, locations chosen for their insulation and concealment. For months, the female may guard the site, not actively, but through presence. Her proximity alone discourages most intruders. In some cases, females employ false nesting sites, digging multiple holes to confuse predators. This level of environmental manipulation challenges outdated assumptions about reptilian intelligence. The Komodo dragon does not simply react to its world, it anticipates it. Hatchlings enter a reality far harsher than that faced by most predators at birth. From the moment they emerge, they are prey. Adult Komodo dragons will not hesitate to consume their own young. Survival demands immediate adaptation. Juveniles instinctively flee upward, climbing trees where their lighter bodies and sharper claws give them an advantage. Their diet shifts accordingly, consisting of insects, geckos, birds, and eggs. Camouflage replaces armor, feed replaces mass. For years, they exist in a parallel ecosystem above the ground, learning, observing, waiting for the moment when size grants them access to the world below. This gradual transition from arboreal youth to terrestrial dominance is not rushed. Growth is slow, deliberate, aligned with the Komodo dragon's overarching strategy: never expend energy before it is necessary. Even as adults, movement is calculated. They choose ambush points along trails, near water sources, and in shaded clearings where prey naturally passes. These locations are remembered, revisited, and defended when advantageous. Facial memory plays a critical role in their hunting success, allowing them to exploit patterns rather than chase unpredictability. The sensory world of the Komodo dragon is dominated by chemistry. Vision detects motion and shape, but smell defines reality. The forked tongue collects particles from the air, delivering them to the Jacobson's organ, where they are analyzed with precision. This system allows dragons to detect carrion from kilometers away, to identify injured prey, and even to determine the direction and freshness of a scent. In this invisible map of information, the Komodo dragon moves with confidence, guided by signals humans barely perceive. Hunting behavior reflects this sensory dominance. Rather than actively pursuing prey, Komodo dragons position themselves along paths animals use daily. When an opportunity arises, the strike is sudden, explosive, and decisive. A single bite is often enough. The dragon does not cling or wrestle. It withdraws, allowing venom and blood loss to take effect. This separation between attack and consumption is unusual among large predators, but it suits the Komodo dragon's physiology perfectly. Energy is conserved, risk is minimized, and the outcome remains the same. Scavenging further extends their influence. Komodo dragons are not strict hunters, they are opportunists. Carcasses left by other animals, natural deaths, or even human activity are quickly detected and consumed. In doing so, they act as cleaners of the ecosystem, recycling nutrients back into the environment. Bones are crushed and swallowed, hair passes through the digestive tract, and almost nothing is wasted. This efficiency reduces disease spread and supports the health of the broader system. Despite their dominance, Komodo dragons remain deeply tied to environmental conditions. Temperature governs their activity. Rainfall shapes prey movement. Seasonal changes subtly alter behavior patterns, influencing where dragons rest, hunt, and travel. Climate instability threatens this delicate synchronization. Rising temperatures and shifting rainfall patterns affect prey availability and nesting success. For a species built on patience and balance, rapid change is the most dangerous predator of all. Human presence adds another layer of complexity. Historically, Komodo dragons were woven into local mythologies, seen as spirits, ancestors, or guardians. This cultural significance offered a degree of protection. Modern tourism, however, introduces new pressures. While protected areas exist, increased human traffic alters dragon behavior, conditioning some individuals to associate people with food. This association erodes natural hunting patterns and increases conflict. Conservation efforts now focus not only on habitat protection, but on maintaining behavioral integrity, ensuring that Komodo dragons remain what they have always been, not performers shaped by human expectation. The Komodo dragon's intelligence reveals itself most clearly in these interactions. Studies suggest problem-solving abilities, learning through experience, and even individual personality differences. Some dragons are bolder, others more cautious. Some adapt quickly to new stimuli, others rely on established patterns. This variability is not noise, it is resilience. It allows the species to respond to change without losing its identity. At the center of all this complexity lies a simple truth. The Komodo dragon is not a monster, not a relic, not an anomaly. It is a solution refined over millions of years to answer a single question: how to survive when resources are limited, competition is constant, and time itself is the ultimate currency. Every behavior, every physiological trait, every interaction is aligned with this answer. And still, the story is not complete. For most of its existence, the Komodo dragon lived beyond the awareness of humanity. It did not evolve alongside humans, did not adapt its behavior to our presence, and did not need to. When people finally arrived on its islands, they entered a system already complete. This meeting was not a convergence of equals, but a collision between two timelines. One moved fast, reshaping landscapes in decades. The other measured change in millennia. Early human encounters with the Komodo dragon were shaped by fear and myth. Stories spread of giant land crocodiles, of venomous demons that hunted silently and killed without mercy. These narratives were not entirely wrong, but they were incomplete. The Komodo dragon became exaggerated into a monster because it defied familiar categories. It was a reptile that behaved like a mammal, a predator that relied on patience rather than pursuit, an animal that did not retreat when challenged. In human storytelling, what cannot be easily understood is often turned into legend. Scientific attention arrived late, and when it did, it brought its own misconceptions. For decades, the Komodo dragon was described as a primitive brute, surviving through size alone. Its success was attributed to bacteria in its saliva, a convenient explanation that fit the image of a dirty, ancient killer. This theory persisted until closer examination revealed a more elegant truth. The dragon's bite was not effective because of filth, but because of design. Venom glands, complex and intentional, produced effects far more reliable than infection. This discovery forced a re-evaluation not only of the Komodo dragon, but of reptilian intelligence and evolution as a whole. Understanding the Komodo dragon requires abandoning the idea that evolution always trends towards speed, complexity, or constant innovation. This animal represents a different philosophy. It survives by remaining stable while the world changes around it. Its body plan has endured because it works, not because it adapts quickly. In a sense, the Komodo dragon is not competing with other species. It is waiting them out. This approach, however, meets its greatest challenge in the modern era. Human expansion compresses space, fragments habitat, and accelerates change beyond evolutionary timescales. The islands that once protected the Komodo dragon through isolation now confine it. Sea level rise threatens nesting grounds. Shifting prey populations alter feeding dynamics. Genetic diversity becomes harder to maintain when movement between populations is restricted. The very isolation that preserved the species now amplifies its vulnerability. Conservation efforts face a paradox. Protecting the Komodo dragon means limiting human interference, yet human presence is often the reason protection exists at all. National parks, legal safeguards, and international attention create boundaries that prevent habitat destruction, but tourism introduces disturbance. Dragons accustomed to human proximity may alter their behavior, becoming more aggressive or less effective hunters. The line between protection and intrusion is thin, and maintaining it requires constant adjustment. Local communities play a crucial role in this balance. Where the Komodo dragon is seen not as a threat, but as part of cultural identity, coexistence becomes possible. Traditional respect, reinforced by modern conservation education, offers a model of shared space rather than domination. This relationship is fragile, but it is one of the few that aligns with the dragon's needs. The Komodo dragon does not require care or management. It requires distance, stability, and time. Time, however, is not neutral. The future will test whether a species built for patience can endure a world defined by acceleration. Climate models predict changes that may outpace the Komodo dragon's ability to respond. Yet there is reason for cautious optimism. This species has survived mass extinctions, shifting continents, and climatic upheavals that erased countless others. Its resilience lies not in flexibility, but in restraint. It does not overspecialize. It does not overconsume. It does not multiply beyond what the environment can sustain. In this way, the Komodo dragon offers a mirror to humanity. It demonstrates an alternative model of dominance, one that does not rely on expansion or control, but on understanding limits. It rules not by reshaping its environment, but by fitting perfectly within it. This lesson is uncomfortable because it challenges the assumption that progress must be loud, fast, and visible. To stand before a Komodo dragon is to feel the weight of continuity. Its gaze does not register curiosity or fear. It registers assessment. You are not an anomaly to it, merely another variable in a world it already understands. This indifference is perhaps its most unsettling trait. The Komodo dragon does not acknowledge humanity as special. It has no reason to. As the sun lowers over the volcanic hills and shadows stretch across the dry earth, the Komodo dragon resumes its stillness. Muscles relax, breathing slows, and the landscape settles around it. Nothing about this moment signals urgency. There is no sense of an ending, only continuation. This animal has learned what many species have not. Survival is not about winning every moment, but about lasting long enough for the moment to pass. Whether the Komodo dragon continues to rule its islands for centuries to come depends less on its strength than on our restraint. It does not need saving from nature. It needs saving from speed. If allowed the time it has always claimed, it will do what it has done since before memory: endure, observe, and wait for the world to come to it.